Getting the first pick.
Get three, Pyro, get three with the
Blade Kid putting on a clinic. Whole team's down. Oh!
Experience tranquility.
Good afternoon, morning, night, whenever you are tuning into this broadcast. My name is username_Intel here, joined by Misfit, and I am so happy to join you when it comes to the preseason of Tranquility. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. This is my debut cast for the Tranquility Tournament, and I'm very excited. But for the two teams we have featured tonight, they have a lot of experience in this tournament. We got Holy Jalapenos and Steel Team Spuds, two of the longest tenured teams in the Tranquility Tournament. So very excited to see what these two teams have in store for us in this Discord tier matchup.
Yeah, it's going to be definitely type of insane. Two teams with rich history now coming back into the preseason, showing themselves off to kind of have an expectation, set things up, and they'll be more than ready to kind of, I guess, go into the regular season. It's going to have a lot of preparation. While this may not show their full potential or what they're really at, rather, it's just going to help them get a bit more practice and kind of scope out the competition a tiny bit.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely excited to see as well what these teams decide to run. The meta is very map dependent right now. There's a lot of different compositions that can be played across a bunch of different maps. There's no one comp that's just extremely dominant anymore, which makes it extremely enjoyable to watch and to cast and to, just see what goes on. And I'm really excited to see in this, Diamond tier tournament what these two teams will opt for on the maps they will play, which heroes they'll choose to bring out and whatnot.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's a lot of variety, a lot of different ideas, but also for anyone interested, you can donate. We are kind of doing a bit of a donation, as you can see kind of on the bottom screen. It's not a big deal, but if you can, that'd be generous. However, going back into Tranquility, we are going to be starting out on Lijiang Tower, if I do remember correctly. And Lijiang Tower is a very specific control map that often favors a brawl-style composition.
Yes, that is very true. Both Control Center and Night Market typically lean towards a brawlier style with that Symmetra, usually either with a Junkrat Doom May, can be played on either point. We have seen a lot of teams opt for more of a Ball Diva type of composition on Night Market in order to mess up the TP. There is a rollout you can do on Ball where you can block the enemy team from getting into that TP. So it is something we could see here. Dardens will probably be either 6-man or dive. That's just the way that it goes. But yes, very, very excited to start off on this classic map. It is probably the most scrimmed map besides King's Road because it is the default map when you go into this custom game lobby. So I'm pretty sure most teams have a lot of experience here. So we're going to see a very tight matchup on this map going forward.
Yeah, Lijiang Tower is also just, I think, one of the most popular control maps. I don't know what it is about it. Maybe it's because people really like to run out on a Symmetra, maybe have a Doomfist opportunity, but they find great enjoyment in just being able to rush out on each other and try different things out, rather than like on Nepal or Ilios, which is often like people's least favorite map, I think. But that's neither here or there.
Yeah, no, very excited to see what goes on. I'm curious to know if off-meta stuff will be played. I'm not expecting it, not holding out too much hope for it. Diamond is an ELO in which teams kind of play what's meta and have a pretty good grasp on why things are meta, but they don't quite understand the meta well enough to know how something else counters it. So we probably will not be seeing too much of the Ball Diva on Night Market or anything weird like that. Pharah can be played on Control Center as well. I don't expect to see any of that, but it is something that it is possible for these teams to run that. We do not know how high up into Diamond these teams scrim. We're only, privy to their SR, so I'm very curious. I'm very excited. I want to see some good Overwatch, and we will be getting into it here very shortly.
Yeah, honestly, I don't really expect these teams to run out anything truly of the ordinary. The meta is somewhat in a weird place, as the experimental hasn't moved in yet due to the event, so we're kind of stuck back with the hit scan nerf type of meta, where while McCree isn't the best, he's still relatively played, and so teams just try to kind of out-brawl each other and go against it. Rather, since we're on Gardens, or really this specific center of the point, we are going to be seeing them run out on two varying different compositions, quite possibly.
Yeah, I would be a little bit surprised if we did see the brawl come out from SEAL Team Spuds. It doesn't really lend itself to be that useful on this map, because it's just, you get to point with the teleporter right away. After that, it kind of just evolves. 6-man is just a lot better, can surround you, pick you off from a bunch of different angles. Somber is so dangerous into this composition, gets a single hack on a tank, and that's pretty much a one fight. So got to give the edge here to Holy Jalapenos as we get into this first fight.
Gives a lot of different opportunities, especially with what they want to engage in this fight. This kind of Jalapenos want to be looking for a hack to try and initiate. Well, that Symmetra is doing an amazing job of peeling them off, but the turrets are gone, and now they're looking for a room in. Popping out that bubble, looking in for the hack, able to get it out on Bebo, so now they have room and opportunities. With that immortality gone, they're able to get a pick not only on Lego, but on Shim. So the rest of their team is just looking to try to even up this fight. The Jalapenos just not being able to stay alive, had a good opportunity, but it looks like they're just going to be falling down.
Yeah, Jalapenos there with a pretty decent engage there, but the Sombra spent a little bit too much time with her team. Needed to be on an off angle, providing pressure, making sure that Brawl Comp can't look in one direction, which is what it wants to do. And unfortunately, they fall in that first fight. No real ults to speak of. Gonna have a coalescence soon. But SEAL Team Spuds coming up on 3 of their own, so advantage them for this next fight.
Yeah, now they're preparing. We're seeing Lego getting ready to die, but McWizard's going to be using that window. That's going to be LOSing them fairly far as they're trying to rotate around, while Mard is kind of standing in the back waiting for an opportunity to build up this EMP.
Yeah, gonna be stealth here. Gonna be pressured out a little bit. Is finally gonna leave, which is actually big because now her team is engaging without her.
The immortality being used combined with the window and high noon, they're going to be able to shut down Lego with it. That Diva Bomb being perfectly placed, but it looks like they're going to be able to dodge the majority of the damage. However, Shim does not have enough ability to be able to sustain it, and SEAL Team Squads are going to be able to just kind of move around, not really too pressured out, but had to invest a fair amount.
Yeah, a lot of communication issues so far for Holy Jalapenos. They're not really utilizing the Sombra to their full potential right now. We just saw them take a very bad engage without the Sombra there to assist them, and that kind of spelled disaster for them. As soon as that threat was out of the fight, SEAL Team Spuds just pushed their advantage and won pretty easily.
Now, SEAL Team is perfectly set up. There's some Metras ready. They have the teleport. Shatter! That's going to be the opening ultimate when it comes to this. Lego just doesn't have the ability to react to it fast enough due to the Winston bubble. So even with this hack on Beepo, they're going to just move forward with nothing in kind of to care about.
Yeah, now Holy Jalapenos is going to have a very important fight here. They've got their EMP. They don't quite have their Death Blossom, which is the ult they want to pair that with, but they do have a bomb they can maybe pair it with. They need to win this fight, though. It is a last fight scenario for them.
They have a bunch of ultimates. They combine the sound barrier. However, your teammate's going to be waiting to use it. Lego is able to find out McWizard, giving them the advantage. Combined with the Death Blossom, it's going to be kind of a clean wipe as they're just picking off the staggers from SEAL Team.
She is going to get that little boop onto Frosty there, which is going to give him a bit of his ult back, which is pretty helpful because they just threw everything in the kitchen sink at them. And now they only have 2 ultimates to speak of. SEAL Team Spuds going to have both of their DPS ults, which should provide them with a big advantage in this next fight. That Smarty's Coalescence, though, will be very effective at dealing with Nagi's wall, as it is cleave damage and goes straight through it.
It seems they just weren't a little prepared from the Symmetra teleporting as they go onto the point, use the window, and it's up to Lego to put in a considerable amount of the damage, but it's going to be going down before the Primal Rage is going to be coming out while they're looking to rest to stall this out, looking for a type of advantage for seeing Chim inside the backline. They're able to find out the Symmetra Nog isn't going to be able to do much. However, the Reaper is just looking to finish them up, finding the support. The Shatter comes out. It's going to be missing, but they're looking to finish off this Reaper. Still being able to stall on the point for a tiny bit longer is going to eventually go down, while the Lucio's being able to build up this sound barrier immensely quick. Lego using the Primal Rage just to be able to come back, and the sound barrier being invested on the side of SEAL Team so they can try to sustain themselves. However, Jalapenos are going to mimic it, still having somewhat of an even trade onto this fight. Miles coming back with the EMP. They have room to kind of end this up, but they're still looking for a chance as Lucio's the one hacked. Your teammate's not going to be able to get much. Bowser's going to have the EMP, gets teleport out, but coming back, it manages to get picked off by the Tracer. That's a bit unfortunate because Lego's also going to be following after suit, while the point is still on the Jalapenos level. That window's being popped. Same with the high noob, just using to push them out, and they're stuck in one side of the corridor. If they don't finish this out, they're not going to be able to really take back this point before a 99 scenario. We even see in CR3 being able to finish off the Tracer. However, they're now looking. He's sitting there waiting. The EMP comes out. There's nothing stopping this as Death Blossom manages to get infested, but it's still going to be headshotted and picked off. Somber really the only person left on the point, but the Monkey not going to be coming back in time. Just barely there. However, it looks like that interesting stall is going to be finally in favor to Seal Team. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, Holy Jalapeno is still holding on to the point, though. No cap has come through, and they have ults on the point. Bethcon is going to find Frosty and get the mech. Bomb will come out, won't find anyone. Your teammate will fall, and this is actually being turned. Holy Jalapenos is going to take this first point.
I'm a little impressed. I kind of just said Seal Team was going to win it, but it seems that they're bringing it back. That Shatter also being committed by Beepo is not going to be enough. Seems the Tracer's just having to touch the point a tiny bit, but it's going to be picked off from the Moira. And my goodness, what an amazing comeback to bring it after it looked so dangerous.
Yeah, and that was pretty much from 30% on. That was pretty much just one fight from Holy Jalapenos. Honestly, this is one of the most stallable points in the game. We saw that they trickled in, used their staggers well enough, used their ults when they needed to. Probably could have won it a little bit more convincing, but they didn't want to invest the ultimates when they didn't think they had to. And that almost spelled disaster for them, but they were able to bring it back and take that first map. But, I mean, that was really good. I really enjoyed what I saw there. And now I'm about to enjoy it even more because SEAL Team Spuds is once again choosing a pretty off-meta type of comp for this next map. They will be running that Ball, Diva, Pharah, Tracer comp that I talked about in the pre-show, and I'm very excited to see how they run this. This is not something we see at this ELO very much. This is much more something we see at, GM, even Masters players may run this from time to time, but Diamond is not an ELO where we see this comp a lot.
This is fairly interesting. They're giving them a lot of space, and so now Jalapenos are going to be able to touch the point first, but they lost their Mei so quickly into this fight. That Mei's not going to be able to come back because the teleporter's gone. So as Nog is just putting in immense pressure, that Boop's coming in, not being able to put anyone up, but the Powell is going to be able to put in a major amount of damage. Now they're just looking to find out the Diva was just sitting on the point while Nog is just kind of putting pressure into the back. The Immortality now being used. Looks like Smarties is just not going to be able to survive while the Mei comes back, managing to finish off not only Zen, but they're continuing to move in. And really Jalapenos managed to bring that back from almost a kind of quick fight.
Yeah, no, the Symmetra there for Holy Jalapenos doing an excellent job getting a lot of picks in that fight. And that was kind of a bit of a misplay there from SEAL Team Spuds. They had their advantage, and they should have pushed it, but instead they kind of stabilized when they really didn't need to. And unfortunately, that led to them losing the fight. Important to note, though, they can play this pretty slow here. They don't really need to care about the amount of percent they give up because they just need to play for their picks. Trap Holy Jalapenos on point and look for poke picks like that. And with the Symmetra going down, now they have a very clear advantage in this fight.
Yeah, they're not going to be having the symbol, and that Symmetra is going to be able to come back faster than the Mei, but it's still an issue because Frosty's kind of uncontested inside the backline as we see Smarties being popped out by the Barrage. That's a bit unfortunate. Mortality saving them out. They use the Sound Barrier to try to sustain, but the Forest uncontested as they continuously move in. The Blizzard gets invested just trying to make something happen. However, they managed to really find out the Fire Mercy combination combined with the Symmetra Teleporter. They now have it set up, and it seems there is nothing the Jalapenos can't come back from.
Yeah, that is actually a really, really good choice in the altar. I was about to say that was a huge misplay, but the communication very, very good from Holy Jalapenos. They recognized that the members of SEAL Team Spuds had overcommitted. Usually a Blizzard not very useful against a comp like this that plays so split up, but unfortunately, they were a little bit together. Got a little bit too cocky with the picks that they had, and they just got punished really hard by that Blizzard and were able to take that fight.
Oh no, Lego almost gets walled off. It's going to be able to charge out on Beepo, but the Transcendence is there. The Pulse Bomb connects. It is going to be taking down the main tank. They use that window to try to uneven things up. The Diva Bomb is going to be able to help them out while the Mercy's being able to fly around. However, the back half is there. They're going to be able to capture the point. So now Jalapenos has to win this if they want any chance. The Maywall going to be stopping Beepo from being able to charge Lego, and now he's just going to stuck inside the corner while the rest of the Jalapenos fight onto the point, and they're going to be able to pick off everyone who's just split off, and this is not looking too great anymore.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the transitional brawl comp swap that they did. It really just didn't go well for them. They did it a little bit too late, and now it looks like this first map is going to go the way of Holy Jalapenos, who ran a more consistent comp.
Yeah, now they're trying to just burst down Lego, who gets some sustain. Down bear being used. It doesn't hit anyone on the team. It was stuck in the air for a little too long. Lego's going to be gone. The counter blizzards are being used, and right now the fight's somewhat even, but it looks like the wrecking ball is going to be going down late as Smarties is still alive to heal the team. Naga is on the May, but it's going to be melted down. The fact that the Baptiste on Smarties is still alive means they have enough sustain to bring this out, and we're going to be seeing Jalapenos. They're going to be winning out Lijiang Tower.
Yeah, definitely not how I expected this to go after seeing such a good performance by Steel Team Spuds on that Gardens map. But, you know, definitely a well-deserved win here for Holy Jalapenos. Liking what I'm seeing so far from both these teams. They're both making a few errors, but nothing too major. I'd say the really big deciding factor right now is that Holy Jalapenos is just opting for compositions that are a little bit more consistent. You know, off-meta compositions are all good and proper, but they require a lot more effort to make work, and that's why they are not the meta compositions on those maps. And right now, Steel Team Spuds just a little bit behind in that regard. I believe, you know, honestly, I don't see too many big differences in the skill department. Both these teams seem very evenly matched, and I think it just came down to the more consistent play calls from Holy Jalapenos. But something I talk about all the time when I cast, control is a horrible way to measure teams against each other because it's very inconsistent. The way control is played is extremely different from how every other control map is played. Symmetra's pick rate on control compared to every other map is like exponentially different, and it's because, you know, Symmetra does have her niche strategies on these maps, but she doesn't have those on other maps. You know, a lot of compositions we see that are viable on Ilios, on Lijiang Tower, on Busan, on anything, are not viable on any other map. And so I definitely don't think this is a, you know, something we can point to and say, yep, Holy Jalapenos is the clear better team just because they 2-0'd on control.
Hey, you make a fair point. The best part about Control is just that it's really a warm-up map. So not only do Jalapenos and SEAL Team get a moment to breathe and kind of get things set up, but now they have a moment to say, hey, just because we got the first point doesn't really mean anything, so we're just going to go in, and I definitely agree with you. I feel that going out with the ball composition, you have an idea, you have a sensor, you can't execute it once or really twice, then you kind of have to swap, and they make it so late that Jalapenos had ultimates, they were prepared, and the momentum switched back into their favor. It was more of an unlucky situation of them trying something new, and it just doesn't work out.
Yeah, they actually did run that comp slightly incorrectly. So that is typically what we see with that comp. There's two ways it gets played on that point. You either start out with it, and then when the enemy team puts their TP to the window, you roll them from the area they're going to TP to because you can get there on ball, and you boop them back so your team has time to set up for when they do eventually get to point through the teleporter. They didn't do that. The ball went around the outside over the area of death around the left side to get to point early, which didn't really give them a positional advantage because now you're on point with 6 players and you got to leave anyway. So I wasn't really sure what they were doing with that. The other way that comp gets played is as a counter to the comp we saw from SEAL Team Spuds is where, okay, we lose first fight in the mirror, we can go a composition that can just poke them out, and we can beat them that way. And honestly, SEAL Team Spuds played the composition pretty well. There was just that one fight where they got punished by that blizzard because they got a little bit too overconfident and stacked on point. If they hadn't done that, they would have won that fight, and that composition is so hard to push back into with Brawl composition because if you try to take the teleporter again, the Pharah is in position and can do a ton of damage to you when you take that teleporter. You can't really walk through courtyard against a ball and tracer. You're going to lose somebody, probably your Baptiste. So I really think that could have gone differently if there was just that one little error that Steel Team Spuds didn't make. But we will be moving on to our next map here. It looks like it will be Volskaya Industries. Very excited for this. There's a lot of interesting compositions that I've seen on this map in recent times. So gonna be curious to see what both these teams select in their spawns.
Honestly, this still opens things up to that far composition if we see SEAL Team want to try to whip it out, maybe have kind of a big burst composition. I think favorably, right now at least, Volskaya is centered around more positioning and control rather than just being a pure brawl composition to where you're focusing on tempo. You more focus on where your team's going to how they can use that to their advantage, especially when it comes to the first point.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that's a solid assessment here. Looks like we are being treated to our compositions here. It looks like it will be a full spam comp versus a brawl comp here. I gotta say, I don't really like this from SEAL Team Spuds. Brawl is very challenging to run here because this spam comp, what we're gonna see it do, it's gonna play split. So they're gonna play a 3-3 split. Not really sure how. It kind of depends on them. But the Arista and Sigma are gonna play split on different parallel high grounds, and then whichever side that the brawl, pushes, it's just gonna rotate away. Right, and that's gonna, the brawl composition is gonna spend a lot of time in open space where the Ashe, the Echo, the Zen can get so much poke on them and so much value and find picks that way. And it's just really, really difficult for that brawl composition to get on to this double shield spam composition without losing a member.
Look, they're not even going to give them an opportunity to kind of sit down on the point. Jalapenos want to play on the high ground. Very defense, so SEAL Team are going to have a chance to rotate. McWizard almost gets picked out during the rotation, which was a scary heart attack. You lose that Baptiste, you have nothing going in. So their entire game plan right now is to go down into the Mega Health Pack, or they're going to rotate all around, but really, what do you see this happening, and how do they take Jalapeno out of this?
Well, they've got to get onto them. They need to, establish a brawl fight. They cannot just go to point right now because they're just going to get spammed out by the high ground advantage that Holy Jalapenos has.
Now we see the Echo going onto the flank, looking to pick someone out. Looks like Chim is going to be able to find out McWizard early, while the rest of them are putting the pressure back onto the point. It looks, however, SEAL Team is not going to be able to do much, as they're basically just an open target field. Sure, Beth is going to go down, but there's really nothing left, and they don't even manage to get a tick.
Yeah, Bethcon and the Zenyatta for Holy Jalapenos will go down, which will weaken them for this next fight. But that is a pretty commanding victory there for Holy Jalapenos. SEAL Team Spuds now going to switch off of that Kree, go on to this Symmetra. I actually don't hate this. What they're going to do is they're going to try to teleport to an area that allows them to get onto Holy Jalapenos easier. Got to be careful not put it directly in front of them, or else it's just going to get broken. But that is their game plan going forward. They don't want to have to rotate in open space. They just want to get directly on this spam composition and take the brawl.
Yeah, look at that. They're just gonna immediately try teleporting in their face. The teleporter does eventually get broken, but they've been booped around and they're misplaced. We do see the Symmetra from SEAL Team going down first inside this fight, while the Reinhardt's rotating. They're going on to the high ground, looking to find someone out, as Chim is just being able to kind of get 3 picks easily enough, and there's not a worry. SEAL Team was just a little too far back.
Yeah, She-Man doing God's work there on that Zenyatta. I am a Zenyatta main myself, so I love to see it. But not close to that ultimate, so just really getting those final blows, not too much damage being done from that department. Most of your time as Zenyatta is shooting into a defense matrix or a Rhine shield against this composition, so not the most fun, but you do have your occasional moments where you get to finish off those low health targets that make you feel like a good player. So, yeah, definitely enjoying what I'm seeing right now from Holy Jalapenos. They are playing this very well, but if they get TP'd on again, they need to be sure to actually break it before it goes up.
It looks like they are going to be able to do it, and that boot was absolutely massive. Sure, Nog just uses the Blizzard, but there's not really much they can do besides pick out Smarties early. So with the copy and the Bongo, they're being able to put out a considerable amount of damage on this bridge. So the D-Bomb comes out, however, CR3 goes down, and yet they're able to get a 4K remix. Blizzard taking out the game. Players don't need this anymore.
Yeah, I mean, that's disgusting. Like, that is completely... You said it yourself. I complain about this, like, every time that I cast. Why is Remix still in the game? It doesn't do what it was intended to do, which was stop Diva Staggers, and it just leads to plays like that. Like, SEAL Team Spuds did not deserve to lose that fight. I'm going to be real there. They played that very well. They were able to find a pick onto the Baptiste, very high-value target, had the advantage, and they just get backed. Like, what are they going to do there? That's just... It's disrespectful to the way the game is played. I'm very sad about it. But overall, good job by Holy Jalapenos using what is in the game to win that fight.
Look at the bright side. They're now taking a very quick rotation. However, it seems your teammate's going to be the one booped off the map by the pull. The rest of them split, not being able to push in on the rest of Jalapenos. They're just going to slowly be melted down. Even with their ult economy that they're building up, they don't really seem to have much.
Whoa. Come on, you can get him. You can get him. Ah, you got him!
You were so patient for that, but now, look at this. Now they're going to be in this very close situation where your teammate has to touch, is going to be able to get it out just specifically, but now that Bob is going to be looking to pick off anyone who tries to touch. Frosty is looking to be the person to contest as much as possible, but not only is the Bob and the Zenyatta doing much to sustain the team out, They're looking to just find ults or a type of ability. However, Seal Team just don't have it. Smarty is able to get the 2K. She's doing absolutely amazing as Frosty's just looking to do his best. However, Chime is going to be finishing that out. And we'll possibly, no, we are definitely seeing Jalapenos full holding on Volskaya.
Yeah, and I mean, this just comes down to a complete comp mismatch. You know, comp isn't everything in Overwatch. You can definitely win the mismatch sometimes, but Brawl on Volskaya is just outdated. It's not going to work very well. The spam composition is just much better there. Can play to its strengths a lot easier than the Brawl comp can. And is, you know, kind of a counter comp to Brawl. Spam is very, very good at taking angles on Brawl and just, you know, surrounding them, poking from different angles, and making them split their focus, which Brawl doesn't want to do. Brawl wants to make someone group up and then just run at them. It's very hard for them to deal with off angles. The only character they really have that can deal with off angles effectively is the D.Va, but you also need that D.Va in the front line to eat damage that's going on to your Ryan so he doesn't just get burned immediately. So it's just very, very hard to run that. I would have liked to see a dive swap there. I think Double Bubble would have been very, very good. Of course, that comp is designed to beat Double Shield in the first place, so it would have been a better swap there. I don't think the Brawl was working too well for them, but now we can see what Steel Team Spuds wants to do on their defense, and it looks like they want to run a much brawlier version of this spam composition here with the Brigida, with the Torb. I like what I'm seeing right now.
Oh, I definitely love it. While I do dislike the character Brigida and what it stands for this game, I really like the Torbjorn. I think it's an amazing use of not only having a way to force the enemy team to pay attention to a different direction, but Torb's Molten Core is really powerful when it comes to trying to stall things out or quickly end a fight.
You know, I think Torb is a very underrated character. Does a ton of damage. That turret can be set up on off angles. It can be set up to spy check to deal with tracers really well. You know, I think the ult is criminally underrated. It's just that I don't think the meta for it has been developed enough. People don't know how to use it. I like this TP, actually. This is very interesting, and we're going to see Mallard actually go over to the Echo now. So, you know, while they might be expecting Symmetra to be in the midst there, Mallard's actually going to be able to come from an off angle and, you know, mess up the plans of this double shield composition.
They're fairly equal when it comes to the poke. Maybe Seal Team having a bit more because they have the Torbjorn. However, they're not being able to stay out, and they're giving all the room to Jalapenos to be able to poke out as we see the Echo going in. A massive dynamite now place that's going to start melting down. Their resources are lowering, and because they have break, they don't get any extra healing comparably to the Zenyatta. So the flank is able to get a 2K, 3K. Now they're just moving in. What's more left? Their Beth is gone, and the turret is still alive, doing a bunch of damage. They've gained so much percentage on this point, and the respawns are not in Seal Team's favor. Finally finding out they're a hero. We do see people go on to the Wrecking Ball, but there's nothing left because this Volskaya match is just going to be ending in a full hold in Jalapenos' second point.
Yeah, and I gotta say, Steel Team Spuds there not really playing to their advantage. The difference with those compositions is pretty much just the Brig. Obviously, you have the difference with the Echo and the Torbjorn. But that doesn't really change how much the comp plays to a really big extent. Both teams want to off angle, both teams want to take a lot of different angles and try to surround their opponents. But the big advantage that the Steel Team Spuds have is that they have the Brigida and they do have the ability to brawl, whereas Holy Jalapenos needs to stay back, needs to stay far away from Steel Team Spuds. And they just did that, and Steel Team Spuds tried to outpoke a team that had more poke than them. And that's never going to work. So I would have liked to see them try to rotate on to the members of Holy Jalapenos, or better yet, take both high grounds rather than grouping up on the far side high ground. That just was doomed for failure from the start.
Yeah, I definitely agree, but that remake kill with the copy, it mentally just destroyed me actually seeing it in the replays. They didn't even try to go for it in front of them. They just went behind, absolutely destroys. But Seal Team right now, they're down, and it's really kind of a best of three area, so these teams need to kind of prepare a bit more, especially when they want to kind of go up against Jalapenos. I think what Jalapenos is doing great is knowing what type of composition they're playing and playing to his strengths.
Yeah, no, and we will be able to see the end of this bout coming up very soon here. Going to throw it to a very short break, allow these teams a bit of halftime, let them get some water, let them go to the bathroom, maybe grab a bite to eat. But for now, don't go anywhere. We got some great Overwatch coming up right after this.
I really hope you didn't miss us for too long because we are back here with the Holy Jalapenos versus Seal Team right now in a 2-0 lead for Jalapenos. And there was a lot that happened on last Volskaya, more specifically the 4K mech, the double shield, but more likely it's now time for Seal Team to bring things back up. And really, what do you think they need to bring in, especially because our next map is going to be Hollywood?
Yeah, I mean, their understanding of their comps and the advantages their comps have needs to be a lot better here. And I don't know if that's something that's going to change mid-game for them, but it might depend. No, Hollywood is their map pick. Maybe they'll play something that they're much better on. Right now, we've seen them lean on their Brawl compositions, and honestly, I said that every comp is viable to a certain extent, but the way they've been playing their Brawl comps is not. Like, they've played Brawl on Lijiang Gardens, which is not a Brawl map, and they played Brawl on Volskaya Industries, which is also not a Brawl map. So I kind of need them to just calm down a little bit and start playing comps that are actually viable on the maps they're picking in order to see some success for them. I think Brawl can be played as a defense for First Point in Hollywood. A lot of teams, even now, will try to come out with six-man, and certain Brawl comps actually can just completely dominate that on First Point of Hollywood if they're played correctly. But I would say it's more likely we'll see something like Double Shield, maybe some Dive, maybe some Sig Ball. I doubt that, given how both these teams have played so far. But yeah, I'm very excited to see how they turn it around here on Hollywood, because it's kind of a winner-go-home situation for them now. They need to win the next 3 maps, or they're going to lose. It is match point for Holy Jalapenos, so pedal to the metal. They got to figure it out now.
Honestly, I think Jalapenos, their main idea will probably just go back on the double shield. Hollywood first point and second are amazing when you want to run those ideas. There's so much open space that you can try to block out the team. And Seal Team don't really understand too much about natural cover, so they keep running into the team. So losing all their resources, they don't have an opportunity. I think Jalapenos can get away with that very easily when it comes to Hollywood, because I think only until that third point, then you switch to the Brawl. Everything else is opened up to double bubble, double shield, and anything that you can think of, but Brawl really isn't that strong comparable.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that's fair. And again, you know, the Brawl on the first point is pretty much exclusively countering a six-man there. If someone runs like a double shield attack or any comp that's actually good on this point, then they might be in a little bit of trouble there. A lot of very, very easy things. I think Double Bubble is honestly the best thing here still. A Dive could be run too, but for this Elo, I think Double Bubble is just a little bit easier to digest. You just play for Nano on that first point, and then you dive that high ground. It's pretty simple, not much to it. But yeah, you know, it's up to these teams what they want to live or die by here. Holy Jalapeno is definitely in the driver's seat right now. We've seen some excellent DPS play from Mallard. Going to be excited to see the Echo returning here. I expect it to, as this is a pretty solid Echo map. We saw Speedily do a lot of very, very crazy things last Contenders circuit on this map with that character. So I'm excited to see it come out again, hopefully. But Seal Team Spud, they have to be the ones to make the adjustment here. Holy Jalapenos firmly in the driver's seat as of now.
Yeah, I definitely see what you mean, but I feel like Jalapenos, they're right now just so in sync while Seal Team somewhat splits up. I feel more likely than not their support line is kind of, I guess, over-eager when they really want to be committing into these pushes. However, it's not to say that there isn't an opportunity to bring this out and reverse sweep anything less than that, but I feel that Jalapenos, they need to be not Jalapenos, Seal Team needs to be a bit more on sync when they're running out on that Brawl or in any type of composition. I do think kind of, really, while that dive would be better, 100%, because just the Nano Monkey engaging onto the first point just works out so well. Brawl, you can often force them to move off the high ground or pressure them out, and you can split them up, and it's just a really good idea sometimes, rather than if you're uncomfortable on the Monkey.
Looks like we will be seeing the, I believe this is going to be Brig Zen. They might opt for the Ana here. No, it will be a Zen. I'm really happy to see this, actually, from Seal Team Spuds. They are the attackers here, and I actually like this comp quite a bit. I've been streaming it a bit myself. I coach it on the team that I coach, which will be in the Transcendence tier. Keep an eye out for that. But yeah, I love this comp quite a bit. I think it's a very, very fun comp to run, and I think it's very, very good for First Point Hollywood. It wasn't something that I mentioned because it is a pretty difficult comp, and I wasn't expecting it at the time of Elo, but I do actually like that they're trying it here. So what we're going to see out of this composition here is the ball is going to try to come from behind on the staircase and boop anyone on that first high ground off. If there's no one set up on that first high ground because it looks like Holy Jalapenos are going to hold this cafe, he's going to go up the stairs and try to boop them onto point, and that's just going to be the go button for the Sombra, for the Tracer to get onto that. Meanwhile, we're going to have that Zen poking from afar, looking for discords on targets that do get booped. And they actually are going to go for the Lucio here instead of the Brig. Or not anymore. Not really sure what was going on there. They stayed on that for quite some time.
Yeah,
but yeah, no, that's kind of what we're going to see here.
They've switched more to something that can pressure out the shields. That's why you run the Hanzo. And while I kind of wish they did have the Sombra a bit more because the hacks are just so invaluable, the Torbjorn is going to be able to shut that down a tiny bit. So they're waiting and preparing. And since you have some insight on your base composition, kind of explain the idea that they want to go into.
Yeah, I want to see the Zen take some high ground here. Like, Zen, D.Va, and Brig should all be going high ground right now. They want that more, they want a little bit of high ground advantage there that they could get. You see the engage now from Ball. It doesn't really get too much, but it does give them a little bit of space.
Yeah, they do force out the Torb turret and now put them in an unfavorable position, especially isolating out Bethgon. That's a bit unfortunate. Still somewhat of an even fight. However, Chime's going to be able to find out Beepo, making it still uneven. However, it trades back in, getting a nice clean fight. First take is got. Seems like they're just being forced off the point. Frosty now has the pulse bomb, going to be able to try to throw it out. It's going to be able to miss the stick, but this still gives them room, forcing the Torbjorn away from the fight far along and leaving Lego alone. So now this is just opened up, and it seems SEAL Team are going to be having this point.
Yeah, really nice job there from Frosty, able to find the picks when it was necessary. Holy Jalapenos now going to have to make the adjustment here. They are going into a dive composition, which means they need to play pretty grouped up. They don't want to play too split, because if they do, they're just going to get punished pretty hard. And yeah, you know, they just have to, play together, not leave people far apart, and they should be able to, I wouldn't say counter engage, but they should be able to survive these dives a little bit better.
I 100% agree. Just being on top of these, I don't really know what to call them, but roofs, I guess, because that's what they are, is a lot easier in retrospective because they're just bricks. You really only have to worry about being pooped off, and even then, with the kind of buffs they gave to the elevators, it's really a good advantage. So now as we see them trying to slowly reach an area, Kiddo's going to be running up, and they're going to be using the rally to sustain. However, Beepo's going to be the one bursting down. They use the Transcendence to survive through the Dragons, no sweat on their mind and moving that payload. However, they're in everyone's LOS, and the rest of CO Team are just looking for a chance to find someone out of position. CR3 is going to be the one found out. However, McWizard was sacrificed in the end, while they're still able to find out the DPS on the Kree. They're still taking their time looking for some type of room to finish out the rest of the Jalapenos.
Yeah, and a really big important part of that aspect there is they weren't able to throw the bob to contest cart there. They died before they were able to. I think they got a little bit too aggressive on positioning. They fell, and I think SEAL Team Spuds should be able to win this fight with ults to spare, which is very important for next fight.
Oh, I 100% agree. More importantly, I think Beepo's Mines is going to be absolutely massive. They're playing double shield. They're going to be bunkering down. All you do is walk into them, place it, watch the 6K hit the screen, and they're still patiently waiting, so a lot of poke is going to be hitting out Lego as they throw it down, slamming, hitting those mines. No, everyone that walks in is going to be hitting it. Frosty may be going down, however, that payload is still uncontested, forcing the Sigma to try to fight out. The Zenyatta being able to use the Transcendence just to be able to move in. That's a free win condition. However, that Rock being able to slot down that slam for a second, but the payload, they get off of it for 2 milliseconds, and the Jalapenos, sure, they could have had a chance to win that fight, but they've lost the point.
Yeah, no, a very important thing, they were able to get that Transcendence out, so Bethcon's Sigma ult here is going to be pretty much uncontested. Obviously, you can't get a big 6-man one with the composition that's being played by SEAL Team Spuds. It's just going to be 2 split, but you can probably get the back line with it, as those two characters are pretty much always going to be right next to each other. That's just kind of how Briggs End plays. They need to babysit each other. So, that is the win condition here for Holy Jalapenos. They've got their Sigma ult. They need to hit the backline. If they're able to do that, they should be able to win this fight.
Oh, I see what you mean. Your teammates coming in with the rally, and I think this is now where the double shield works a bit more. It's harder for dive characters to try to escape because it's more boxed in. So the Gravitic Flux does come out. However, it seemed it wanted to solo McWizard, who already died, and yet they managed to find out Frosty. So now the stagger picks are somewhat in. SEAL Team just really want to push that payload a bit further. However, they don't have the team to move in and try to force them away from it.
Yeah, very nice fight there from Holy Jalapenos. Looking forward, though, SEAL Team Spuds is stocking up those ultimates. They're going to have that minefield coming up here pretty soon, and they have 3 ults already online with that Pulse Bomb, the Dragons, and the Brig Rally. I would expect them to go for a pile drive Dragons here to start off this fight. Maybe try to get out that Transcendence we're seeing from Holy Jalapenos, but after that, it's just going to devolve, and we're going to see a lot more ults be thrown.
Frosty setting up the with the Wrecking Ball as they're looking to pick off the Zenyatta, throwing the Pulse Bomb. It does force out the Transcendence to save the rest of the team, but Bethgon is going to be traded out in the end. So now they're looking to find some advantage. We're going to be seeing the Dragons come out, and Frosty doing the major job of poking out the Zenyatta. Smarties and Lego going to be going down, and then just a nice clean shot is going to be forcing everyone out. So while the D.Va is doing their best to try to stall this out, they're not going to be able to touch, and we're going to be seeing SEAL Team being able to bring in a new type of aggression and win kind of 3 points with around 2 minutes and 24 seconds, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, and this is the adjustment we wanted to see from them. They understand their comp much better here. They're playing it much better. It is a matchup that's pretty favorable for them, but they played that map very, very well. Got a very respectable time bank here, and now it comes down to their defense. They've set themselves a win condition. They have a healthy time bank that's over a minute, so their win condition, or to put themselves in a good position here, they would like to be able to either hold at any point on the map or hold Holy Jalapenos so that they do not finish with time to make it a draw or win situation for themselves. So they put themselves in a really good position here. Momentum is in their favor. We're just going to have to see how they go on their defense now.
Ooh, interestingly enough, we might see the Holy Jalapenos come out on a double shield. I do think this ball competition can help SEAL Team out when it comes to first points. A lot of room to just spam and poke them out. But really, how do you play this on defense when the comp seems so much better at taking an initiative rather than waiting to be initiated on?
Yeah, it is a lot harder to be proactive against the comp we're seeing from SEAL Team Spuds when you're playing this double shield composition. But I think what they're doing is they're trying to play to their strengths. Obviously, Chi-Man has shown himself to be a very, very talented Zen player, and they want to run a comp where they can play with him. It's possible, they don't have a good ball player of themselves. We haven't seen them run any ball comps so far tonight, so it's possible they do not have the ability to run the comp we're seeing from SEAL Team Spuds, and they're just trying to run something that they think they can get value out of him on, because, Chi has been absolutely wonderful on this end, has gotten a lot of picks every fight, is doing a lot of damage right now for his team. So I expect it to be something along those lines of a comfort.
It's all about using your brain. We do say Beepo be a bit more proactive, slamming down, forcing McWizard to be dangerously low is going to get that pack just to be safe, so it's not too much to worry about, but they don't really have much to initiate on for the Holy Jalapenos. They are taking their time, able to find out Beepo, looking to just stun them and force them out, waste all their resources. The immortality is huge, and Smarty is not really getting much healing, having to just wait up. They are able to find out McWizard taking the slow poke and the full combo, not being able to find much. However, they now have relatively really good control over the point, now picking them off one by one. There is not much the SEAL Team can do because their entirety of their competition has just been run asunder.
Yeah, that was a bit of a premature engage there from SEAL Team Spuds. They want to engage as soon as Holy Jalapenos gets through that first choke, but they ended up engaging right before they got through that first choke, and they took a lot of damage, wasted a lot of their resources in that fight, and they weren't able to set up properly for when Holy Jalapenos actually did get in through the choke. And Holy Jalapenos played it slow, played to their advantage, didn't overextend into something that wasn't there. Crab did an excellent job finding the pick there onto Frosty, and it just everything just went well for them there. But Nagas started off this fight with a pick of their own, so we're going to have to see how this goes going forward.
I do like that they popped the Transcendence just to be able to peel in for themselves, especially because that Dragons may have been an issue. However, SEAL Team still have more than enough room to come back into the fight while that payload continues moving. However, Jalapenos, they have really nothing to worry about. This is their free sight lines to just play and start aiming practice. It's almost like aim labs.
Yeah, and I like the variation of double shield that they're running here with the Tracer and the Kree. I didn't touch on it earlier, but the Tracer gives them a lot more check potential to SEAL Team Spuds, because the Tracer can check the ball, can chase it down, can duel the Tracer and make it so it's a lot harder for her to get in. And the Kree is just a very consistent pick, so that's when someone does engage on them, namely the ball, they can get stunned up and burst down very quickly. So I do really like the way Holy Jalapenos is choosing to take this battle.
Look at that. They unfortunately are going into this fight with less than everyone they really needed, as the entirety of Holy Jalapenos, while may have ultimates, they're going back to the spawn room. It just seems SEAL Team had the ability to focus them out a tiny bit. And look at the ult economy comparison. I think SEAL Team have more than varied when it comes to how they want to engage.
Yeah, and that just came down to Holy Jalapenos got a little bit too split up there, and they got punished very hard by the dive composition that is SEAL Team Spuds. And look at the ult economy right now. Both these teams on 4 or more ults. This is going to be an absolute Q fest going forward here. Whoever gets more value out of their Q buttons is going to win this next fight, and that's a guarantee. Oh, baby!
You can't make it up! The mines combined with the pulse bomb. This is why sometimes you maybe don't stack on a very small area. Frosty being able to hit a massive combination, forcing them out, and even making Chime decide, you know what, maybe I need to break this out.
Yeah, and it was well timed too. I don't think Smarties was able to get the eye field off in that fight. I didn't see one go out, and I didn't see one in the kill feed. So a little bit. I think the angle was off too. You know, he got it right when they were on the elevator. So when they came up, and as soon as they were up, I don't think there was time to put an eye field down.
Yeah, but the Diva Bomb combination is going to force the rest of the team, like who doesn't realize they're alone, is able to find out McWizard, but loses themselves in the end. CR3 is being able, trying to blink them out. The High Noon being used, looking to find anyone they can. However, they're just a bit too far away. The Dragon's going to be forcing them off the area they want to play. The dive continuing in. Looks like Mouse just not going to be able to do much, as Smarties is unfortunately going to be falling down. And the rest of the Jalapenos just don't have room to play the way they want to play.
Yeah, that was a really, really nice job we're seeing from SEAL Team Spuds, able to, you know, split this team up a lot. We saw the Diva Bomb there actually boop members off that high ground, left the Orisa alone, which made it really easy to focus one target down. And, you know, SEAL Team Spuds right now doing an excellent job of playing their advantage. I love their positioning right now. I love how they're playing this. People can be doing a little bit more on this ball, but honestly, I'm not complaining after that 2K on the bombs.
Yeah, the Transcendence is going to protect everyone, but Nasaga, that's completely rooted and based, as they're forcing everyone off the high ground on the side of SEAL Team. Now being able to find out the supports, McWizard's just not going to be able to do much. They have room and area to move the payload, but they don't really have ultimates besides from the rally and pulse bomb that's coming up. They just want to immediately break out this Diva and get ready. However, I'm really scared of Frosty now after that pulse bomb.
Yeah, no, that's definitely something that they're going to have to be aware of. Nothing really to eat it. I would say that, you know, the Sigma has the potential to eat it. But, I mean, the Pulse Bomb's not really going to be thrown anywhere where the Sigma is. So, they got to be around looking for a way to protect your Brig and your Baptiste here if you're Bethcon.
Throwing it out, not fighting as much as before. The Immortality is going to save them. However, people's minds are much bigger than you think. Not only finding out Smarties, but putting pressure on anyone inside the back lines. And now no one is really able to help them out. So Bethcon has to pull up their pants, try to win it out. However, those minds are going to be sending them down, and the High Noon is not enough to pick off the remaining people. And while the McCree may have opportunities, and Saga just has a little bit more of a bob and weave type of fighting style, and just barely lives.
Yeah, Mallard almost clutched that there, but not quite. It wasn't in the cards. And now we're approaching 30 seconds here for Holy Jalapenos. Even if they are able to cap this point, their time bank is going to be not as good as SEAL Team Spuds is. So that's something important to note. And with that pick onto Smarties, who has the only ult available for Holy Jalapenos, that might be it. Even if they're able to lose this fight quickly, they won't be able to take a full fight next. I think SEAL Team Spuds might have just punched their ticket to round 4.
Holy Jalapenos really just sticking on to the double shield a bit too long when SEAL Team have been showing they know what to do against it. Frosty, Kiddo, everyone being able to shut it down, and they're being able to bring it back. The possible reverse sweep still in their back pocket.
Yeah, no, definitely a nice map there from SEAL Team Spuds. I really like the comp they ran. I think they ran it very well. And we talked about this. This was what I wanted to see from them. They need to play a comp that they understand a lot better, understand the advantages they have over their enemy's comp, and play to that. And this is a beautiful pulse bomb right here, followed up by those mines. I gotta say, this was a completely different SEAL Team Spuds, and I loved what I saw from them.
Definitely agree. I feel not only did they do the one thing I wanted them to do, which was work as a team, engage together. That's what the ball comp enabled them to do. I really was kind of based on it. I thought, it's not going to work. The double shield, as long as they just turn around, stun everything with, you know, pull, rock, bash, whatever, they'll be able to kill anything. However, just the teamwork and focus, making sure that no one was ever working together, really helped beat Holy Jalapenos. So now they still have opportunities, and right now they are looking great.
Yeah, something to point out though about this, the way this works, is Holy Jalapenos being up 2-0 on the last map. Pretty much every map from here on out that will get played will be Holy Jalapenos map pick. Even if they lose, it's still their map pick. So obviously SEAL Team Spuds taking this map. So now we're going to Holy Jalapenos home turf for our next map type, which I believe is going to be Escort. We did Assault Hybrid. It is Escort now. I'm not entirely sure what the pool is for this map type, but given how each of these teams plays, I gotta be honest, I don't really think there's much Holy Jalapenos can do in the way of picking a map that plays to their strengths, because the Brig Zen composition we saw from SEAL Team Spuds is going to be good on pretty much every Escort map that I can think of. It's good on Gibraltar. It's good on Rialto. Like, those are, I'm pretty sure those are in the pool. I guess someone can.
Gotta use your brain a little bit. We've got Rialto, Junkertown, and Route 66 as our options.
I was close.
You were close. All of these
I got
opening
one.
up. Yeah, although what I would like to point out is all of these compositions kind of favor similarly to what happened on Hollywood. Not only do they open up for that double shield, but I feel like, you could tell me if I'm wrong, the ball composition works relatively well. It can kind of split people up, especially if you try to go on Rialto.
Yeah, no, Route 66 is where we've seen that map the most in Owl. I think the Washington Justice are a team that's been extremely dominant on Route 66 with this composition, but unfortunately, we will not be seeing that. We will be headed to Rialto, which is a very, very solid map. I cannot speak this map's praises enough. I love this map. It is my favorite Escort map. It is a map, to me, like King's Row, where a lot of different compositions and strategies are viable here. We see a lot of interesting gameplay on this map. It's a beautiful map, too. It's very well lit. It's very well designed. There's not a point that I'm just like, wow, I hate playing Overwatch on this point. And every point is just very visually appealing. So very excited to have this as our potential match point in this series.
We bring ourselves to Rialto. That was terrible.
French.
That was, I don't know where Rialto is
Rialto's
based.
in Italy.
I failed high school. Either way, making my social studies teacher angry at me, same with my world history. Rialto very much is one of those maps that is very visually appealing. Not really ever complained on. I think it's kind of in a neutral place for players. However, similar to what I kind of debated on, we are going to be seeing Holy Jalapenos run out onto the double shield, bringing the Echo back in. I think that's what they needed. That burst damage is so immense, especially when setting up kind of small pinches, while SEAL Team looks like they want to run out back onto the Ball Diva. And really, how does it work in this map? Because I don't think it's that easy to pull people off when there's such a big open area.
Yeah, I think the double shield is something that's definitely viable on this map, and pretty solid too. But this Brig Zen ball composition we're seeing from SEAL Team Spuds is pretty good at countering it. So what we're going to see here, and I know Holy Jalapenos knows this, mind you, Vipo's going to go behind them on that high ground and try to boot them off into that courtyard. If he's unable to do that, we're going to see Holy Jalapenos try to rotate, because they don't want to give up that high ground, but they can't play the sight line where they can get booped. So they'll back up just a little bit, and that will allow a little bit of space for McWizard and your teammate to push the cart. And actually, it looks like they are... it looks like they've already rotated to courtyard. They've been pushed back quite a bit, and they've actually given this high ground up completely.
Oh, very true. And I mean, that does work out. You don't have to worry about being misplaced, and now you can specifically kind of control the point. They even find out McWizard. They're being able to pull in a lot of damage. So while you do sacrifice Beepo being able to go on the high ground and try to slam down on you, especially sightlines for Nasaga, you really have nothing to worry about because they can't push that payload regardless.
Yeah, but what they do is they give McWizard and Nagisa a free high ground here. You know, once their whole team pushes up that, it's going to be very hard for them. And Beepo can just come from behind and slam on their backline like he just did. And Frosty just picking off the Zen with ease.
And now they're getting set up already. And it looks like Frosty's going to be the one finding the first initial picks. While the Echo did manage to find out Beepo, it looks like the Tracer's still going to be inside the backline. Frosty putting a lot of pressure onto the Baptiste. However, your teammate is going to be found out the immortality, so Smarties doesn't really have to pay too much attention. However, they still have little to no healing. Looks like Frosty is there to finish up the clean swipe. This is why you pay attention to the backline person, because Frosty is making sure that nobody leaves alive.
Wow, Frosty is just going crazy right now in the backline. The ball has been very, very good at setting up these kills. And even though she does find Frosty, I think this is going to be a SEAL Team Spud fight win here. I don't think they will be able to push all the way, though. There are enough surviving members of the Holy Jalapenos, and they do have enough of a spawn advantage that they should be able to set back up, but once again, not in the ideal position.
Yeah, now they're setting up. There's still a hold here. That window putting in a major amount of damage, especially with the area that they're in. It's somewhat like a pinch, and they are just not going to be able to stop from this immense amount of damage hitting them. However, only Jalapenos still being able to build up a considerable amount of ults from these long fights. Oh, no.
Oh, and Frosty's going to find a nice little flank kill onto Mallard. That won't be too impactful because the spawn is close enough. It looks like Frosty might try for the little spawn camp action here. But as I was saying, you know, even with that poor positioning there from Holy Jalapenos, the Spuds just played part of that window. So there really wasn't anything they needed to do, anything special they needed to do here. Supercharger looks like it'll take this one pretty cleanly.
Yeah,
so
look.
That's actually been 2-1 fights for Holy Jalapeno as well.
The bongo was absolutely essential to help winning out that fight, especially with Chim paying a lot more attention to Frosty, not giving Frosty a chance to go onto that flank, especially because Frosty didn't want to try to stop the Echo. So while they may be a bit split up now, SEAL Team have an opportunity to bring this out. However, Chime's Transcendence basically counters 2 of the ultimates that they have in their bank.
Yeah, no, and that's definitely big. Mallard is going to fall again early. The mines will come out onto the front line. That's going to be pretty big here. And right now, SEAL Team Spuds in prime position if they can play their cards right.
Yeah, look, already setting up the dive. They're pressuring people. The Transcendence comes out. Combined with the Gravitic Flux, it does manage to miss as it looks like the bomb's out. The shields are there to protect themselves. Same with the Immortality. However, Beth is so dangerous. Love bringing up the just to survive themselves. So we see SEAL Team using the Transcendence. It looks like the ultimate combinations are going to be helping them win, as there's nobody left to really touch the point besides from the copy. And it's not a diva this time, so there's not much you can do besides from place the copy mine. It gives them a few more seconds to try to hold things out and find your teammate, but the rest of their team is gone. And we're going to be seeing SEAL Team not getting full hold. They want to make sure they keep their chances alive.
Definitely a solid fight there from SEAL Team Spuds using their ults to perfection. She-Man is having an absolutely crazy map right now. These guys got like 2 final blows per fight right now, which is a very high number. Would love to see the stats from this afterwards. But yeah, SEAL Team Spuds there with a nice victory, giving themselves a pretty solid time back here, but they don't really have any ultimates, and they have to go into Legolas's Supercharger here, which, as we've said before, one of the best ults in the game, has a very high win rate in Owl and on Ranked Ladder. Just a very solid, it's a team-wide nano boost. It's a really solid ult.
I really agree to that. They are putting pressure onto this area. Normally, well, traditionally, no one ever really leaves this top spot. They just let you push that payload as far as you want. But I feel they're giving a bit too much time for Frosty to set up. Look, already we see Smarties being pressured out. The mines are placed so they can't even back up. So while the Immortality is used to help them move around, CB3 and Ballad are just not going to be able to escape. So the rest of SEAL Team are just playing around them, and they're basically going to have the rest of Street Space to capture.
Yeah, SEAL Team Spuds looking very, very dominant right now. Nice job using the mines there to secure that victory, and they will be coming up on a few more ults here. Going to have another Trans. They've got Nagisa's Dragon Strike here, and they've got the Diva Bomb. So definitely a lot of things they can use to win this next fight. Beepo is going to go down, but the point is going to be secured with the help of that Dragon Strike. So SEAL Team Spuds in a really, really nice position right now.
Pretty rude, and that's just dirty. The Pulse Bomb just to show Smarties you can, and your teammate is going to finish them out. And it looks like they're struggling just to keep them away from the point. However, this is an area, similarly to the last point of Hollywood, where it's very linear, it's very open, and it's harder for us dive characters to kind of escape. And this is where Beefo will kind of be put to the test.
Yeah, no, it's definitely going to be a lot harder for the engagements to come through now.
Yeah, but that bomb, oh no, that's even worse because Smarties gets picked up afterwards. Same with CR3. The combinations and early engages are making sure that they find Holy Jalapenos with their pants down. Now looking to pressure them out. The Transcendence coming out from Big Wizard. They are going to be able to find out Frosty, which is a bit too far back, but they're looking to still put pressure back onto Chime. The Diva Bomb, they're able to get the 2K to kind of clean up this fight, and it looks like Holy Jalapenos are going to stop any type of snowball.
Yeah, very nice adjustment there from Holy Jalapenos. A nice job coming back in that fight. I was sure SEAL Team Spud had punched their ticket to the end there, but they were able to turn that one around, which is very important because now with only 1:30 remaining, it is going to be a lot harder for them to put together a fight to win it. You know, third point is pretty hard to push. the respawn advantage is pretty aggressive for Holy Jalapenos, especially on a comp like this that's very sustainable. The ults available for Holy Jalapenos should be able to be, stacked for them to win the next 2 fights, which is really all that SEAL Team Spuds is going to have here going forward. I would assume that they're going to open this fight with the window, and then they'll use the Supercharger if they really need to, but they'll definitely want to save that for last fight.
Yeah. Also, Kiddo switches over to the Zarya. I didn't really initially notice that. That kind of switches up the way they want to play this, especially after they lose Frosty. So much poke damage coming in, but how does that Zarya really enable people besides from being able to bubble when they use the mines?
So the D.Va can't really go in with the ball against this composition and block all the stuns. So what the bubble allows them to do, nice stick there. I'm not really sure. It must have been a bubble saving them. But the bubble basically blocks the stuns from the Brig and the McCree onto the ball, which allows them to engage a lot more cleanly.
Yeah, now they're going in, just looking to finish things out. They're able to get the 2K high noon, which is going to be stopping the majority of the tanks because there's only 2 in this type of game. Try to touch the point. The rest of SEAL Team are kind of being staggered out a little bit. We're going to be seeing your teammate gone, and while the Dragons is trying to even things out, they've lost Zenyatta. Frosty's really the only person with a good ultimate to try to help them out. The Saga being pressured out by Sierra 3, the ball hash returned in. Beepo looking to help it out. The fight's not over till it's over. We're seeing those shots go in. The pulse bomb manages to get eaten by Bethcon, so they're looking for more. How CB3 is kind of being pressured out at their spawn room, sort of, and the mine's going down. They're going to be popping, looking to just find anything type of down. The Doofus is now here from Mallard, just trying to help quickly get a one-shot, but the fight's still somewhat being stalled out. Kiddo getting a lot of charge. The Doom being placed, trying to pressure them out. It does manage to get out McWizard, so they're going to be having less healing. And Beepo, this is finally the ultimate economy that they've been waiting for. Just that one ability, being able to start forcing the rest out from SEAL Team. The staggers are there. There is nothing more left, and while the Lucio may be hip and fly, he's the only person that was left there to die, as we're going to be seeing them stop directly on the 3rd point.
Yeah, and I'm sure you'll want to break from all that talking, so I will give it to you here, break down some analysis here. Holy Jalapenos there with a very good adjustment to what they were seeing from SEAL Team Spuds. I like the way they switched up their composition there. They switched to something that made it a lot harder for the ball to do anything. It was pretty much just a composition that was like, look, the ball is the cornerstone by which this comp lives and dies. If your ball's not doing anything, we know you can't do anything, so we're going to switch to a comp that completely disables him. They had the Kree stun, they had the Tracer to chase him down, they had the Brig stun, they have pull already, they have D.Va to eat damage from the follow-up on the Tracer, and it just made it really hard for D.Va to do pretty much anything there. So really nice adjustment we saw there from Holy Jalapenos, and now they put themselves in a nice position here. With that hold, I think they gave themselves quite a bit of momentum here, and now going into their attack, I think they're looking to put this one away.
I see what you mean. SEAL Team are continuing to run out on this composition. I still kind of like the idea of this Zarya. I feel like it really doesn't hurt them too much, but it kind of enables the Wrecking Ball to play a lot more that they want to. However, we are seeing Holy Jalapenos run out on a Torbjorn and possibly a Doomfist. I don't know how well those two combinations work, but I do love the Torbjorn.
Oh, the Doom Torb, honestly, it should be run an Owl. Very solid composition all the way around.
Yeah, so really, it's going to be not only helping them kind of stop Frosty from using, kind of flanking down inside their backline, because it could just be really annoying at times. So they do come back out, and look at that pull building out an amazing amount of ult charge. But I feel Holy Jalapenos are going to struggle to try to find them out of position when SEAL Team are going to be the ones engaging.
Yeah, I honestly think Mallard is probably going to switch back over to the Kree here in a little bit here. The Echo's not going to have a very fun time going against this competition from SEAL Team Spuds. Just not a lot that it can do, and once again, we see Beepo just getting destroyed. That's what this comp is going to do. Beepo is not going to be able to have a very clean engage against Holy Jalapenos right now.
Yeah, look at them already taking their time. Holy Jalapenos, they're going to be able to slowly bring this out. That Torb turret doing absolute work, and Frosty's going to be found, so they have really nothing to worry about. It's still somewhat of a long poke phase, and they're just going to be taking as much space as they want to. Unfortunately, McWizard going to be found out while they were just trying to disengage, and I feel not only is the Torbjorn being able to help, but the Zenyatta just getting so much room to take free angles and shots that they're going to be able to cap the first point really uncontested.
Yeah, I mean, this is a very statement performance we're seeing from G-Man right now, doing an excellent job on this Zenyatta. Really doing a nice job finding those picks there in the end, which is also we really see. Zen is not a very pick-heavy character in this composition. It's mostly a damage character. I guess, when there are no shields, can do a lot more damage than if it's a mirror where he's just meant to spam the shields out. But still, you know, you got to commend the mechanics from G-Man able to find these picks.
Yeah, that's gonna hurt. They really weren't expecting the Saga just to have the dragon shoot it out on the stairs. That's gonna end the fight before it can really truly start. Holy Jalapenos are gonna be regretting that one. On the bright side though, Kreb does have Molten Core, and especially in these very flat areas on the stairs, anywhere it can just stop a team from being able to retreat.
Yeah, no, definitely gonna be looking towards this next fight here. We've got the Molten Core and that Supercharger online for Holy Jalapenos, which is going to be very important. You know, we can do the Hot Lava combo here, which I think could be very, very deadly to the side of Steel Team Spuds with how many immobile characters they've got, namely their DPS and their backline.
Yeah, they're using that Graviton Surge to try to find something out, but the Transcendence is going to be able to heal them up a tiny bit for anyone kind of left out. However, the Molten Core does get canceled, really only get 1 moment out. So the copy is there. They're getting a high charge, looking to build up a Graviton Surge with it, not very often used. However, it's still there, missing it. Unfortunately, pulling out a Nene. However, they're going to be able to win out this fight. The Saga being able to win out the 1v1 with Bethcon. So the payload's still being moving, but it's not in the worst spot for Seal Team as they're switching up to a brawl.
Yeah, I don't actually hate this from Steel Team Spuds. You know, usually we talk about how Double Shield counters it, but, you know, this isn't really Double Shield. This is a pretty anti-dive composition from Holy Jalapenos here with that Diva, and I think the Brawl can honestly just dominate this if played correctly. They just have to be smart about it.
Yeah, and now they're forcing on the high ground. Bethcon using that Diva Bomb, and it's going to be able to find out too, and the hammer kill gets found, specifically on Frosty, so that's a bit of revenge as they get a nice engage. I like the fact that they use their ultimates the moment they knew they were engaging. It forces Seal Team to make a mistake, and now this is around 4 minutes and 30 seconds to be able to capture this point.
Yeah, and if you're Steel Team Spuds, honestly, that's not the worst thing. You know, you knew you were probably going to lose that fight because they had ults, because it was just going to be very difficult for you to go into that fight and win it when you would just switch your comp up. But now is the fight they really got to win, and Frosty going down early is definitely not going to help their case.
And we see Chime already being able to find out Frosty again, who has the high noon, but I think more importantly, we want to be looking at the Hanzo. Dragons work so well. This window may be there putting in a bit of pressure, but the moment that they're getting set, the moment this payload goes underneath, we're going to be seeing those dragons pop out, looking to find people as Nisaka takes the 1v1 against the Torbjorn, not able to really find much, so Frosty has to come in as an older father just to be able to protect them on the flank, look for the sun, able to find out Rev not going to be having much when it comes to this fight, so the rest of the Holy Jalapenos are going to be struggling to kind of escape because they're just meat father to the ult charge economy of the SEAL team.
Yeah, and I would really like to see Bethcon maybe switch over to a Sigma now if they want to keep on this composition. You know, they do have some ults to work with. They've got the Supercharger and they've got the Molten Core, so I would assume they definitely do want to stay on at least those characters. But I don't think this anti-dive composition is going to work against this Brawl, even with the Zarya being run, which is typically not a very solid pick with Brawl these days. It's just going to be very, very difficult for them to find any real value against it because their composition, in truth, is kind of a Brawl of its own, but it's meant to counter dive. It's specifically meant for that purpose, to counter what Steel Team Spuds was running on the last map.
Yeah, now they're moving in. That Molten Core making its job well known as it forces anyone to really touch onto that high spot. However, it wasn't really split around too much. It's going to be leaving Holy Jalapenos without room to kind of go up against this Brawl composition. But the window is there. It's going to be doing its job. The sound barrier there to be able to sustain them out for a tiny bit. Bethcon's mech is a tiny bit low. So it's still somewhat of a slow fight. But without Kreb, they've lost this. And they're going to be in a 5v6 type of scenario. Beampo does have the shatter, so if they want to just run out like they're doing now, getting set, moving past the shield, it is somewhat going to be hit, and they're just looking to finish it out. The immortality being able to sustain them for a tiny bit, so Mahler are going to be using the shatter in a counter red to try to finish this, but they have 3 main tank looking to just finish this. The Diva Bomb being placed, the immortality is gone, and 4K is found. Unfortunately, there is not enough time to try to stall this out. They bait the immortality really early, and this is just seeming for Holy Jalapenos to bring this in a 3-1 victory as they're going to be winning over SEAL team.
Yeah, I mean, I think Bethcon might have heard me say that she should be on Sigma there, and she was kind of like, yeah, hold my beer, watch this, getting a nice little 4K there to wrap this one up. That's going to be Holy Jalapenos taking this one 3-1 over SEAL Team Spuds, but honestly, a pretty close match. You know, I really liked what I saw from both these teams. It makes me very excited to watch them going forward, and I think even with a 3-1 loss here. I don't think SEAL Team Spuds can be too mad about how they played. Obviously, the first two maps, I think it came down to how they played their comps, but they definitely had some good moments on all maps, and I think they've got to be proud of how they played.
I think SEAL Team really shined when it came to that ball composition. They knew what they were doing, possibly running that a lot. But I think more importantly, they looked a lot better as we continue to see them go on. On map 1, I definitely would say their brawl was questionable. But when it came to those last few fights, I think they really knew what they were doing and they had a way to play around it, especially when they were making a couple mistakes. So, really, what do you, I guess, kind of advice would you give if you knew SEAL Team, what they would need to work on?
I would say the big thing would just be, again, understanding what makes your compositions good on certain maps. And I would say the biggest advice I can give them is do not play Brawl on Volskaya Industries. I don't care how good you are at it. It is not going to go very well. Pretty much everything counters, like even things that Brawl counters gets countered on that map just because of how it plays. Brawl is not very good at dealing with those parallel high grounds. It's just so difficult to cross that distance without the enemy rotating to a better position and still being able to punish you. So I would say don't run that. My other advice to them would be unleashing tower. If you're going to run that ball thing, go mess up the TP. Don't go around the point. You're just going to get teleported on. You're going to have to leave anyway. That's my biggest advice. Other than that, I thought they played very well. Frosty had an outstanding game on DPS. I think they played overall pretty well. I think it's just a couple things they need to clean up, and I hope they are able to do that because I look forward to watching them in our Discord tier once the regular season starts.
Yeah, and honestly, I think this match was amazing. But the one thing I want to know is from Jalapenos, who do you think was kind of a player of the match who really stood above them all?
There's definitely, it kind of felt like each map had a different player. I would say Mallard definitely had his show-up performances. I think Bethcon had a really, really nice map 3. But I think overall, I've got to give it to Chi-Man. I got to be real. I don't know how to pronounce his full name, so I do apologize for that. But however you pronounce it, I'm being told it's Chi-Man. However it is pronounced. You did very, very well tonight. I'm a Zen main myself, so I definitely loved watching your gameplay, and I look forward to watching him moving forward. But yeah, Zen is kind of a character where there's a lot of different ways to get value on him. He is a very straightforward character, and damage is the name of the game with him, right? But good positioning is just as important on Zenyatta, right? If you can make the enemy team feed for you, because you are a character that Tracers love to try to 1v1, if you can make them feed for you and put yourself in good spots, you can end up getting a lot of resources out the enemy team just because they have it in their heads like, oh, we need to dive the Zen because he's a diveable character. And so they will go to hell and back to try to get you. And you could just be in a good spot and make them waste resources, and your team can easily follow up on that. I think he did a good job of that. I think he did a great job with his damage. Really, really good mechanics out of him. Found a lot of final blows. His transcendences were on point. I think we got to pick him for player of the match.
I would definitely agree, but everyone in the Twitch chat, you could definitely give your own type of opinion, make some questions, make some ideas who you really think. We'll come back to that in a bit, but I really just want to say for a first game of the preseason, it was absolutely amazing. We are the introduction into the preseason, and there will be more matches throughout the week, more specifically tomorrow around the same time, 8 p.m. EST, so you have more than enough room to come back, sit down, have a nice Coca-Cola, as you can watch Platlaws versus Arctic Foxes with Worstcast and Captain Jack Booth all being there, helping and making things a reality. So honestly, it's kind of a good thing to see us back in action.
Yeah, and I do want to give a special shout out to everyone who has donated to our fund there below. If you haven't already, make sure to donate a few dollars to the Rain Foundation, a very, very solid foundation, all things considered. You can read up on them if you just look up their name in Google. Very, very solid organization, does a lot of good things, and your money would be well spent over there. So thank you to everyone who has donated. We need about, $665 to reach our goal. That's how much we need. We can get there in no time. What are you talking about? Everyone just donate like $1 and we'll get there in no time.
Any type of amount is grateful, and we thank you so much. It's all going to a great cause. But if you enjoyed what you saw now, make sure to hit that little heart. You'll follow the channel, and anything else that you decide. We have a Twitter. There's a Discord. There's so much you can keep involved when it comes to the future of Tranquility, especially us, the casters, if you're interested. But without further ado, we'll see you next time when it comes to the Tranquility.